Good morning, everybody. You get to hear about camp this week today. It's been fun. I gotta find my page I have here. With all my little notes. I got 10 pages of notes, so we'll see if we can last this long. We'll get rid of Jake's stuff. Sorry. Oh. We'll make room for what we have here. Well, I just want to start with opening prayer. Dear my Father, just thank you for the opportunity to get to work with these men and women and these youth kids, Lord, and as they grow to be young men and women, and how our church and the churches in this community help impact and inflect their lives, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. I had a brain fart there. So we went to camp this last 2 weeks, and I have a whole list of what I want to talk about, but we'll see what kind of order I go in, because you know, my brain sometimes works. Like I'll be thinking something, there'll be a squirrel over there, and I get sidetracked, and we'll see how it goes. But this year, we took 19 high school kids, 1 staff kid from our church, 11 junior high kids, and then we had 2 other kids that couldn't make it for this camp, so they're going to a different camp. So altogether we had 33? 33, we'll go 33. 33 kids go to camp from our community, or Belpre, or Lewis. But, you know, 33 sometimes doesn't seem like a big number, but that's almost 0.25% of our junior high school here in Macksville. So when you compare statistics, that's a huge number. Camp was just such an amazing experience. And there's so much things that go into camp, you know. Like, for instance, we spend close to 100 hours per week with those kids. 100 hours. You know, sometimes, some of us work at the school, several of us work at the school, and we might spend an hour with them here, or an hour with them there, but 100 hours with them non-stop, constantly. You learn so much about them. So much. But we'll just go to the slideshow here and see if I can make it work. There we go. These are the kids we took. The top picture is our high school week. The staff kid we took was Taylor Rodriguez. The camp was really short-staffed, and we found out Sunday night at like 10:30. So Taylor was packed and ready to go by Monday the next day. So, but Nicole actually took him down later. He had an interview. But so that was our top group. The bottom group was our junior high week. That was the little more stinkier week. The stink started when we left here. I'm pretty sure. But each one of these kids, I mean, all of us know several of these kids in this picture. Some of us don't know the kids in the pictures, but they all have a heart seeking for God. And that's the amazing part. A lot of these kids are faithful every week they come, just like we come here on Sunday morning. These are our high school week, our boys' cabins. Jake and I were our leaders for our boys' cabin. We were very fortunate. We only had 1 kid that wasn't one of our group. Which, it's good and bad, but you get a chance to connect more, and you don't have to focus so much on learning new kids. But we only had 1 kid that wasn't part of us. Well, he is now, he says. And then our girls' cabin, Andrea was a trooper. She had, I don't remember how many girls we had exactly, but only half of those girls in that picture are our kids from here. She had to learn all kinds of new names because she was the only counselor in there. And you think, oh, it can't be too bad, but you have to lock your cabin throughout the week. And I think I've lost a couple pounds from walking back and forth to unlock the cabin. Because if you leave it unlocked, you get yelled at, which I got yelled at a couple times because I trust them. But it takes so much patience when you're the only counselor in there, or coach, they call it coach. These were our junior high week. We had Nicole went with us. She was a trooper. She was a beast. She took out a few people. I have a picture of it, but I don't think Andrea put it in there. I wanted her to, but she wouldn't do it in one of our games. The other side is we had 16 junior high boys between Chris, he's a youth leader down in Wichita area. Jake couldn't make it. I mean, we know reasons why. But I wish Jake would have been there. Those kids were tough to wrangle. And only 6 of those boys were ours, so then I had 10 kids to learn their names, 10 kids to chase down. But personalities that you wouldn't believe, all the different personalities. We had 1 kid that liked starting fights. He knocked over pews, or not pews, but the chairs that were made in the pews. 2 different services. He was not one of ours, but I was glad to see him go home. It's not very nice. But he still got an experience with God, and that's all that matters. You know, everything else we can work through. Rec games and Bible challenge. We do a lot of games, a lot of team building stuff, a lot of getting to know the kids, because when it comes time, every night we have service and we have altar times. And if you don't know your kids at altar times, it does you no good, right? They're not going to open up to you. They're not going to talk to you. I mean, kids get to know you. They get attached to you, you know. We have a kid in our youth group, and this makes Jake very mad. I'm not going to say the name. But this kid will not listen to Jake whatsoever. Completely ignore him. It takes a little more prodding for me, but that kid will listen to me. And for Andrea, she just has to stand up and look at this kid, and that kid's like, I ain't messing with her. And she's the nicest one out of all of us. But, you know, like that kid, for instance, we were on our way back, and I had a chance to talk with that individual, and you know, it kind of touched my heart that that kid has parents. Both of their parents are there in the home. But she said she felt like that Andrea and I, or our youth group, are the only people who've ever cared for her. Not the people that she lives with. And I see that. That's why she listens to us. You know, I wasn't supposed to say she, but anyways, but that just touches my life. It makes the whole thing worth it. All the headaches, the planning, the scheduling that we go through. Some of the games we got to play. Some of those games you get really wet and stinky. We had sand volleyball in the middle. That was Bible challenge. We'll talk about Bible challenge here in a minute. Those are girls and boys. The bottom game is flag football with 2 footballs, 4 goals. It's really confusing. If you make it in the bucket, it's 4 points. Through the hole, it's 2 points and 1 point if you hit the bucket and you can't cross it. It's really confusing. We lost that game. I think I wasn't counting, right? And the top game, I don't remember. I think they're playing ultimate frisbee. I did not play it. I'm too fat. It's a lot of running. But all throughout these games, you get to know the kids, because they have a policy that no kid can sit on the sidelines. Every kid has to be involved. Which you get kids that are really good at sports. We have a lot of kids from our group that are in sports, and they're good at it. They get irritated when you have to pull them out and put in somebody else, but the whole goal is to get everybody involved and interacting with each other. Some more of our rec games, Hungry Hippos. You ride on a skateboard and pull the balls back. That skateboard. I didn't do it. I wasn't. In the middle, they have a human foosball. We have a foosball table downstairs, but this way you play with humans and you get caked, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. We had a picture there of Nicole and our junior high girls. She and Andrea did way better of a job taking pictures. So you will see more girls' pictures on here, because most of the pictures were not taken by me. Another one, our rec in the afternoon, is a team building sport. Our boys took 2nd high school week. Wasn't that Andrea or Jake? Our junior high girls, I think, did they win that, Nicole? No. Okay, they were 2nd. I thought we won one of those. But anyways, you have 4 or 5 boards and teams of 2, and your kids were perfectly safe, I promise. And one kid has to walk on the boards up high. They start on the stage, which their stage is 3 or 4 steps higher. So they walk on the boards and they have to revolve around. So once they've stepped off the board, they have to run to the next in front. And it just promotes team building, working together. And then they have to go clear down and back, and you run into the other teams, and they fall sometimes. And if you fall, you got to go clear back to the beginning and start over. But that was really neat to get to watch the kids do. So I got to watch it twice, junior high week and high school week. But in those rec games, you just get to learn the kids' names. And you learn that the kids' names you learn first are the ones you yell at the most. I think the one thing I said the most out of anything I said the whole week is, what are you doing? Some of the things they did. We had a couple kids decide to go to the bathroom, and I was teasing them, and I said, don't get caught. Security they'll lock you up. They're tough guys. They're really not tough guys. Nicole was security once. That's how tough they are. But, so we told them that. Well, then they never came back for a while, and then I was like, Jake, you're going to have to go see. I'll stay here. So Jake went to go find them, couldn't find them, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go look. And here they come running around the backside of the other cabin. I'm like, what in the world are you guys doing? He said, well, you told us not to get caught, and Jake came in there, and so we hid in the shower. And then then by this point, security's right there, so I had to act all mean, I got that guy calmed down, and he went on his way, and I went in there, it's like, I just saved you guys. Some more of our rec group games. The big picture on the bottom, we were doing the board game as a whole cabin. In the bottom left, they have a pizza box game, which Nicole was awesome at this game. You have to hold the pizza box out here, and you have to knock off the other person's pizza box without you losing your own pizza box. And that's a game I think we're going to implement here, so we might need people to save us pizza boxes. The top game, you had to wear a birthday hat. The kids loved it. They loved seeing the adults do it. It was kind of embarrassing. You wore this birthday hat, and you got a pool noodle, and you got to whack it off their head. So some people did get hit in the face. But it was a good time. Nicole did really well in both of those. I was out pretty quick in high school week. I got my strategy jump by junior high week. Mealtime, there's so many people. I was a great picture of me. I was a server. Jake was a server one night, and there was leftovers, and you have to go around and try to get rid of it because they don't want to keep them, you know. And the first thing they told me is do not throw the rolls. So we waited until we got away from the kitchen staff, and they were glaring at me, but we went around the whole place and just showing right there, you know, yeah, that's a little deal serving, but it shows the kids our hearts that we're willing to serve and go above and beyond, because they have people that normally serve, you know, so you're not having to do two jobs like even Nicole doing security, or Jake and I both did security during our weeks. It's just extra work, but it shows our hearts that we care for them. Because that's the whole point, is to connect with the kids. Free time was a blast. That's Michael Seward on those milk crates. He got 15 before, and he stood up on the top of it and had to jump off. They said it didn't count because he used his rope, but I'm still impressed. I couldn't climb 15 milk crates.
Angels on the left.
Oh, Angel's on the left. You really? Oh, yeah, that's Angel. And then the zip line that they can go do, that's one of the things they can go down in Lake Horizon, they call it. That was Madison Butler in the video. But the free time, I mean, and it's cool to see when they're climbing crates, you get people in there encouraging them and giving them and helping them give the strength to be able to have the confidence to do stuff like that.
Like Angel was ready to be down there for like 8, and we kept encouraging.
Yeah. They get so nervous about it. Once you get them to do it and have fun. These are just our guys hanging out. They have carpet ball. Kids love carpet ball. I don't get the fun in it. You smash your fingers and you got to knock the pool balls back. It's pretty cool. Some more free time pictures of the rock climbing wall. They have 4-square ping pong. That was me yelling at Michael because I wasn't really yelling at him. I was telling him to study his Bible, but it's actually, because if we go back here to this picture on the top right, my right, that's our boys in the Bible Challenge. Our boys won during high school, won the grand champion of the whole camp, which is pretty awesome. Because we're not this is an AG camp. It's owned by the Assemblies of God and operated by them. And we're not Assemblies of God. We all know that. But we went in there and took first place. Now, we didn't get any points for it, but we did get a pizza party. But that, to me, speaks wonders. You know, the team we beat wins every year. So that was awesome. Last year, we went against that team, but we lost. But this year, our high school week went first place. And to me, that's worth every experience in there. Over any of the games or the cleanest cabin, you know, because I don't really care if we have the cleanest cabin. I like just enough points so I don't have to have the dirtiest cabin. Because then you have to do more cleaning. We'll go back to where I was at. But that 4-man ping pong, those kids loved it. The adults loved it. You know, you can play 30 people in like 10 minutes playing that game. Because it just revolves around. If you get out, the next guy goes in. It's a lot of fun. There's Justin and Thorne. And some of those pictures hanging out at the coffee bar that they had. Some more of the free time, they had gaga ball, kick pool. That's all stuff that it falls back to that altar time. You know, it may seem like fun and games, but you're hanging out with those kids, you're spending time with them. They will open up to you because some of the things they tell you would just blow your mind sometimes. This is the blob. I didn't do the blob. I have a story for that. the bigger you are, as the person jumping, it's better for the person on the end. This person in here wasn't quite big enough. They were big enough to do it, but
Clayton and Billy.
this is Clayton and Billy. If it loads. This thing, oh, there it goes. Is that you on the jumping?
Being blocked, yeah.
You're being blocked. Clayton's on the end. Billy's
After
launched
like
it.
the peak drive.
So, I didn't go swimming either week. I was being a party pooper the first week. The second week I was going to do it because there was another counselor from Missouri, or coach, and he wanted me to blob him. And he's a little smaller than me, shorter, a little not as fat. So he wanted me to blob him, so I was going to do it. But Monday morning I got out of the shower, and we have a really nice porcelain sink. Had a really nice porcelain sink, and I fell and took out the sink. My arms like all split open. And then before we left for camp, I fell out the church doors and dropped my cooler. It was a rough night. But I think God, the devil was trying to stop me from going or something. So I didn't go swimming. I didn't want to get infected. But it's amazing how sometimes, we're getting sidetracked, but the devil is trying to work and get kids from away from this focus. That's what's happening there. I mean, they had an outbreak of strep this last week and an outbreak of hand, foot, and mouth disease. So luckily, none of us have it, and if your kid's sick, sorry. But, but that's just right there. The devil's trying to work and get because, when that happens, those kids get sent home and they miss the opportunities. This is our cabin life. These are the girls' cabins. Again, I didn't take good pictures. Those are the oldest cabins. They're hot, they're stinky, they don't stay cool. And look how crowded they are. Could you imagine? They're in there. I think that dorm right there sleeps 20 people. 15? Okay, that was around 15. I went in there on a Sunday night when Andrea and I were there because I took a little nap while we were waiting for our turn for our meeting. And I couldn't walk straight down the aisles. I had to sidestep it through there. It's so tight. So you're spending close quarters with these kids all week, whether you want to or not. And like our bed, and I think this room had a metal bed, and with the springs and they squeak. Oh, kids love that. And that's all you hear is squeaking beds. This is another really proud moment we have from our Macksville kids. On the picture there with the 4 people, that's Ken Hagan. We all know the Hagans. I think they bought the Cleveland's old place. They live here in town. But Ken won Fruit of the Spirit Award for showing love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. And there's a few more, but we nominated him. And there's 260 kids that week, but we nominated him for one of the reasons we put down on our paper is I went and cleaned the bus out after we got there, and my hands were completely full, and I dropped everything and picked it up. And we went by almost every kid in our cabin, every kid in our youth group. Not a single one of them even looked at me. And when I got close to the cabin, here come Ken running up, and that was the first thing he did was offer to help me, to take my stuff away. And that just shows his heart, that he's willing. And there's other things that, that went into that. But just how good he was all week, and then they take him, they interview him, so it's not like I just said it, he gets it. So they interview him, and they put him through a ton of questions. I don't know what the questions are, but it's like a 30-minute process. And they really put him through the hoops, and he exceeded. So Ken gets his camp paid for 100% last year. The next awesome part about that's our second year in a row that one of our kids won Fruit of the Spirit. Anna Sugar won it last year. One of our kids this junior high week took 3rd in Fruit of the Spirit. She didn't get it, but it still shows that our kids from here, we're not part of the Assemblies of God. And our kids coming in are getting those awards. And to me, that's something we should all be proud of because it all comes from all of us, just putting and having an impact on their lives. The top right picture was us after we won the Bible Challenge. I talked with one of the coaches he was the husband of the girls team that we played. I like to kind of tease a little bit, as we all know. And he was trash talking bad, like there's no way you guys are going to beat us, don't even hope, And the look on their face when we were beating them was one of them priceless moments. I shouldn't boast on that, but it's awesome to see that we went in there and beat them, And the amazing part is the next week, there was a 3-part question. I don't remember what the question was or the answer, but there was a 3-part question. Parker interrupted on the first part. And so when you interrupt, you have to finish the question and answer it correctly to get the points. If you answer it correctly but don't finish the question or finish the question fully, you don't get the points at all. Partner interrupted on the first part, got the rest of the parts right, answered the question correctly, and they were bragging about that continuously the next week. You know, so to me that's just amazing that one of our kids stuck out. Several of our kids stuck out. The bottom right, that was the glow party they have on Thursday nights. They have a party every Thursday night to give the awards, like the Fruit of the Spirit and stuff. They keep you out really late and get you up really early the next morning. I think that's their theory, so that they know for sure you wore out from camp. But it's such an amazing time for those kids. And I mean, that young man was proud, very proud. The prayer time, what the whole purpose of camp going is to get these kids connected with God. Get them excited about God, because, you know, they're not always. You know, that's not always the cool thing to do or the popular thing to do, but that's the whole purpose of camp, is just to get them connected, get them to have some kind of experience with God. And get them to see them pray together, we're either as a group or with each other in the rows, you know, and the tears coming from their eyes. Because these kids have a lot of things on their hearts and their minds that we don't even realize that goes on. The worship time, you know. Yeah, it's a different worship than what we do, but, you know, it's awesome to see them go up there and participate and join in and have fun and share their hearts with each other and praise Jesus, because that's just so amazing. Because if we don't start working with our kids, what are we going to have when our middle-aged folks aren't around anymore, you know? We have to continually grow and work on our kids. But this week we had this is from our youth group, not just from the camp, but 3 kids were saved for the first time. Asked God into their life for the first time, which is awesome. 12 kids rededicated their lives to Christ. And for me, that's an awesome number, but I'd love to see 0 there. Because either if they rededicated their life, that meant at some point in their life they knew Jesus. And they got away from God. So I'd love to see a 0 there, that nobody got away from Him after they asked God in their life for the first time. And Andrea put this verse in there: don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for believers in speech and conduct and love and faith and purity. 1 Timothy 4:12. But it's just amazing how these kids, and you know, and it's not just what maybe I do or what Andrea does or what anybody else that helps with it. It's all of us. There's several of you in here that have impacted their lives in some way or another. The verse Philippians chapter 2, verse 4 says, each of you should look not only on your own interests, but also on the interests of others. And to me, that's a perfect example of our community sometimes. We're always willing, you know, we're passing around the meal sign-up sheet, and sometimes that gets old, you know, and we get it. It's expensive. We have a lot of kids coming to camp, or coming to youth group and stuff, but that touches their lives. That's planting a seed showing that someone cared about them enough to come on Wednesday night and serve them their meal, you know. There's several men and women in here that have done that, and from the other churches in our community. It's just amazing that, and even from the people that have helped with youth group, from Keith and Crystal, Kelvin, Nicole, Jake and Amber, and anybody else that I might be forgetting, coming to help. That sometimes you may come in and be like, oh, I don't know how to help these kids, you know. I'm just like the old guy in the back row. But these kids will connect with you. You'll make connections with them that you don't even realize. You know, when you're going through the week, we had a kid that, he wasn't from my cabin, I don't remember his name, but he was sitting in the pew and he would not participate, and I kept bumping him, and it reminded me of that kid that won't listen to Jake. So I found his leader, and he took him out, and I don't know what happened. He did say he was crying, the leader, when he came back, but later that night that kid gave me a huge hug. Now, somehow I impacted his life by hitting him in the shoulder, you know? I don't know what I did, but that connection right there, he was happy, you know, it helped him. I'm losing track of where I was going with all this. We have a picture of one of the nights they ask you to come pray, and they want you to go back to your youth group or your cabin group, and you pray together as a circle. And one of my favorite things to do, some of you have been elders before, some of us are elders now, but every elders meeting we pray around the table. I love that example. You know, so we do it a lot on Wednesday nights. We do it there. We do it before we go to bed at night in the cabins. And sometimes our prayers are very juvenile, And maybe I pray that we do good at rec games tomorrow, or, you know, maybe our football game does good. But, you know, as the week continues, it's amazing to see how their prayers have changed, how much they're starting to think of other people, or you know, and building their strength, you know, and encouragement. That's all it is building their encouragement so that when they come back here, they're not afraid to show their relationship with God to these kids in their schools that don't have it. And it's all about just showing love to these kids. You know, camp, and this is something, I don't know if some of you may know this, some of you don't, but I wanted to take the time to talk about it. So I put down, it must have been 30, it wasn't 33, it was 32. I put down 32 kids, 1 staff member, 3 coaches twice, or it would have been 3 coaches twice, it was 5 coaches altogether, 4 adults. We have to pay twice when we go 2 weeks in a row. But it cost us this year, $7,700 to go to camp. Just to go to camp. That doesn't include the fuel to get there, the food we get for them on the way there, or the money we spend during the year to get these kids connected with God, and to get them excited about going. But $7,700. When we started doing fundraising this year, I told Andrew, I said, I don't see how in the world we're going to be able to raise that money. And we did. We still have $1,000 left in our youth account. You know, and that's the amazing part. And if and it's not me, for no means. That's you guys in here. The other churches, you know, from our fundraisers that we do, coming and supporting us. Because if it wasn't for you guys, because this year was 32 kids. That's 10 more kids than we took last year. That's a big number. That's $2,500 more than it cost us last year to be able to go. And the kids do pay a small portion of their expense, but for the most part, their camp is covered. And the amazing part is, out of those 32 kids, only 6 of them actually needed to be sponsored. They couldn't help with their share. But God's doing amazing things. It's amazing that even though the expense doesn't stop it at all. You know, there was another point that I was going to say to that. My goal next year, now I'm going to be crazy, I'd like to see 10 more kids go to camp. You know, we have a problem right now. Some of we've talked about this. We have a problem now that our bus isn't big enough. You know, we were really crowded going to camp with our luggage, and Gary let us use his pickup, and his pickup was overflowing with bags and luggage, and we didn't lose anybody's on the way, but I think if we'd hit a bump just right, a couple bags would have fallen off. But we run into the problem that our bus isn't big enough. You know, earlier this year we went to Winter Jam. We had so many kids go to Winter Jam, we actually had to call and talk to the school and use their activity bus to be able to get those kids to Winter Jam. You know, that's amazing that we may not have all those kids on Wednesday night, but they went and got some kind of experience with God because of that. You know, when we went caroling earlier this year with everybody, we had to borrow another bus of the schools, you know. And it's amazing problems that we're having that kids are wanting to come and we don't have the facilities. You know, on Wednesday nights we're so big, we don't even go in the youth room anymore. We're in here. You know, we don't have enough room down there. And that's amazing to me. Yeah, we make a bigger mess, but sorry to the people that clean and do a wonderful job. But I think that's an awesome problem that we can't have youth group down there because of the numbers. I had another brain fart there, sorry. But one of my last and final points, you know, that I may say, you know, the camp is so amazing that how it can come in there and tear down the walls of these kids and get them to open up and begin to rebuild their lives and their hearts for Jesus. You know, because that's the whole point to go into camp and going to these events that we do is just to build their lives with Jesus. You know, this fall they have a youth convention that they do, and we've never done it in the past. But I think this year I want to try to do it. It's an expense, but we've never done it in the past because it's 2 days, and we'd have to go rent a motel rooms. And motel rooms are not cheap. If you take 30, 40 kids, you're looking at $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 for motel rooms, you know, to go. So we've never done it because that's a huge expense I don't want to take away from camp. But I did find out this week that the camp that we go to will rent their beds out for $10 a bed. So I think that that's something that we might look at this year to be able to do. And they can go have a shower and smell better, and we can take our barbecue and save expense on eating out. So I think it's going to be an opportunity that we get to have and to continue to grow our relationship with these kids. And some of you in here think that, man, I've never helped this youth group. But you have, in all honesty, you know, like we took our offering earlier today, you know. That doesn't impact those kids directly at all, but it pays the electric bill. It pays the taxes so that we can come in here and worship God on a Wednesday night, you know, and pack the... I'd love to see this place packed. Even on Sunday mornings, I'd love to see the kids here, but sometimes getting to come is very, very tough. But I just want to say thank you for those of you that have donated or gave or helped in some way to impact our youth, because you are making a difference when we have 3 kids saved for the first time and 12 kids ask God back into their life, you know. But that's all I really have for you that I can think of right now. But if anybody sees Ken this week, tell them congratulations. You know, if you see some of the high school boys, tell them congratulations. Our junior high boys, we did not get first place, but we got second to the boys team that won it. So we were darn close to getting there. Our junior high boys, we also got dirtiest cabin this week. So we got to clean up twice on the last day. If you get cleanest, you don't want cleanest cabin. I don't get the point of cleanest cabin. If you get cleanest cabin, on the last day, let me just explain. On the last day, the campgrounds, I don't know if it's 10 acres or 15 acres. It's pretty big campgrounds. So we go clear out to the very road, and we line up with trash bags and kids, and you have to walk the whole thing from one end to the other and picking up trash. And if you miss trash, it's a great experience. If you miss trash, you pick up, you go clear back to the other end, and you start all over again. Luckily, neither week we had to start over. So then if you have cleanest cabin, you get to get out of cleaning that. But your cabins have to clean the tabernacle, which the tabernacle is a lot bigger than this sanctuary. And so you have to pick up the chairs, vacuum under them, and put the chairs back out. It's a lot more work to me than walking down and picking up these trash up here. So I'm not going to try to win in cabin cup. But dirtiest cabin, after everyone's done eating brunch, you have to go in there and wipe the tables down, mop the entire floor, and that's a lot of work. You know, so we try to keep our standards low, but just high enough that we're not having to do that extra work. We did have dirtiest cabin. I think one other year Andrea had stinkiest cabin, so that they had to do cleanup. But it's a lot of fun going to camp and getting to spend time with the kids. They do a lot of crazy things. They do a lot of very interesting things. But God is working in our lives and in those kids' lives, and it's amazing to see it when you go to camp. But that's all I have. I think we're ready for our invitation hymn. So.